Today I am talking about the L and S of something I call the ALSO framework. My name is Amanda C. Watts and I'm the founder of the Business Advisor Academy, and I'm excited to share with you something that is very life-changing. What you're going to do is learn the exact steps to move from a numbers person to a sought after advisor, and we're going to be looking at how you can charge between 10 and 50k a year without more hours or more complexity in your business. Now, the ALSO method is how smart advisors get those premium clients. And to grow a high value advisory firm, you need to be able to build an audience. And the reason why you need to be able to build that audience is because people need to know who you are and what you stand for them to know whether or not they want to buy from you. That's the A of ALSO. The next is L, and that is about learning deeply. And this is something we're going to be talking about today in depth. And it's about consuming smart and strategic information that sharpens your thinking. The S of ALSO is about sharing consistently, and it's about you becoming known for your insight by showing up and speaking up regularly and consistently. And then the O of the ALSO method is about opening conversations. And this is about knowing how to lead people from your content that you create, from them seeing you online, and moving them into a premium client relationship. So, as I've said today, we're going to be talking about the L and the S, the learning deeply and the sharing consistently. You see, there are some problems that we need to overcome. The first is that most advisors aren't making bad decisions because of lack of skill. You're, as an accountant or bookkeeper, you're not able to help your clients because lack of skill. The main problem is that you're not feeding your brain the right thing. I call it brain junk, basically. And you're putting junk into your brain expecting premium outcomes. And they're failing because of the poor input. Now, smart people are trained, experienced, but some of them might be you, are sitting on TikTok or watching Instagram or on Facebook or scrolling LinkedIn, watching other people who aren't profound, and spending your evenings watching Netflix or catching up on the latest programs. And then you're wondering why your business feels stuck. Now, the reason why I feel like I'm able to share this with you is because I have been on a massive journey. In 2010, I was a single mum on housing benefit. I'd spent 8 years not having a job because I was bringing up my 2 children. And in that time, the world had so changed. So before I had my children, I used to be an events director, and I used to go all around the world, filling events, planning events, running events. Now, I had children, then went, oh my gosh, I found myself in this awful position. I'm now on housing benefit. I have no money coming in. Life's awful. I couldn't go back into the corporate world because as a single mum, I had to look after my children. So it's like, what am I going to do? And I looked around and I was like, the world has completely changed. There's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Google, there's email. Everything had just like changed for me. And I was like, what am I going to do? And what I noticed was that Facebook and Twitter were becoming a really great tool that business owners could use for getting clients. But I was starting from ground zero. So what I decided to do was learn as much as I could, as fast as I could. And I consumed and consumed and consumed. I read books, I bought programs, I invested in courses, I would watch videos, I would watch seminars, you name it. I was there with pen and paper in hand, and I was consuming and taking in all of this information. Now, here's the thing. I also stopped at that point watching TV. I stopped watching the news. I stopped watching Netflix. Netflix was around. I did have it for the children, but I stopped watching it. I stopped watching all sorts of things unless it was good stuff feeding my brain. And then something magic started to happen. The more I learned, the more I could talk about things. I had things to share on my Facebook profile. I was able to go live and do videos in 2015, 2016, because I'd learned so much for 5 years. And people started seeing me as an expert in social media. And this had a really big knock-on effect because I became a columnist, there you go, for the local paper. I trained the local radio station on how to use Facebook and Twitter. I was asked to train the Church of England diocese on how to use social media to grow their following. And what I learned started to pay me back in cash. And I learnt this very important thing. The more I learnt, the more I earned. And it gave me confidence and clarity and conviction in everything. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. I realized that knowledge equals leverage. And as I expanded my learning and I learned about pricing and positioning and branding and writing and mindset stuff, I was reading a book every week or two. So I was consuming these books. I was listening to them. I was reading them. I was watching them. I was downloading other people's minds into my mind. And this had a knock-on effect. And I grew my business and started getting amazing results from my clients because, most importantly, better inputs equaled better outputs. I was better at pricing, better at positioning, and better at helping my clients. And accountants, you have something that is very valuable because you're really good at doing the compliance work, but you're trained to do the work. You're brilliant at delivery. But advisory, that's thinking work, that's strategic work. And it requires you to switch the way that you act and think. And you need to switch that thing in your brain so that you start feeding your brain with things that will help your clients. So instead of being able to do the compliance work and feeding your brain in how to do the work, you've got to start feeding your brain in strategic stuff. You see, your brain's like a Ferrari, but most of you are putting diesel in the tank. You're scrolling Instagram, you're binging shallow content. Don't talk to me about reels. I absolutely hate reels, right? You're reacting to noise that is out there, and then you're trying to make high stakes pricing decisions from that headspace. You're trying to make your clients buy something from you, but you're actually just consuming the junk, right? And you are what you consume. Not physically, but mentally. So if you eat junk food, your body slows down. If you consume junk information, your decisions do too. So being a better advisor is not about working harder. It's actually about making sure that you get out of the loop. You want to get out of the more hours, the more clients, same old stress, and move into not doing more, but thinking differently. And tactical knowledge will build a transactional firm. That's what I was saying, right? Your compliance work that you're doing is going to build a firm that is based in transactions. But strategic thinking builds profitable practices. And that shift happens when you stop being just the accountant and start learning to become the trusted advisor. So what I'm going to share with you now is a framework that I have created and put into place for myself for 15 years. So it's called the READ framework, and it's how smart advisors learn smarter, because it's easy to consume stuff and hope that you're going to take it in. But actually, what we want to do is learn smarter. Most professionals binge books and collect ideas, but never apply them. It's called shelf help, not self-help, right? You read it and then you put it on the shelf. If you want real business growth, you don't need more information, but you do need a system for learning strategically. So I'm going to share with you the READ framework, and it's a 4-step loop to build mastery and not just fill your brain with stuff. Okay, so the first thing for the READ framework is the R, and it's read with intention. So what we want to do is every 2 weeks, start another business book. So start and finish a business book within 2 weeks. And we want to focus on topics that are going to sharpen your edge. So for example, you can read a book on pricing, and this will enable you to charge for your value. And it will also enable you to help your clients with pricing. Because remember, you're reading to help you, but you're also reading to help your clients. Positioning. So that's a really good one. So what you can do is learn how to position yourself, and then you can help your clients position themselves. You're starting to learn for you first and foremost, and then you pass on that information, right? Communication. Learn how to communicate with your clients. Psychology. How you influence, not just how you inform. All of these things are really key to enable you to run an advisory practice. So pick a theme for the month and go deep on it. So read is the first part of the methodology. Then we have E, which is extract the gold. So what we don't want to do is read passively. It's very easy to sit and read a book and go, yeah, that was nice, and put it down and great. What I want you to do is actually highlight and summarize only the bits that are actionable. And what we want to do is say, what insights can I apply this week from the pages that you have read? What problems does this solve in my business or my clients' businesses? So use a simple doc or a Notion board, or log into your computer and write it all down. I am a big fan of pen and paper because, again, that helps me embed my learning. So first of all, we read, then we extract the gold. Then the A is apply immediately. So learning without doing is procrastination with a halo. So each week, I want you to take one insight and implement it in your business, in your offer, in your content, and also in your client work. And reframe how you present your pricing. Update a pitch using a better story. A really good book is StoryBrand, right? So you can learn how to tell stories. Run a mini experiment in your next sales call with something that you've learned around how to have conversations with people. And I'd like you to block 1 hour weekly as your implementation lab. All right. So you're going to take everything that you have read, you're going to take everything that you've extracted, and you're going to apply it immediately. Don't wait 6 months, apply it immediately. Okay. And then what I'd like you to do is discuss and debrief. So that's the D part of read. Okay. And you need to share what you're learning with your peers, with your clients, and your audience. So you can read something in a book and post that information on LinkedIn. You can teach it to your team. They're really great. If you have a team, start teaching them. Build a slide or a tool around it that you can talk around. Teaching forces clarity. So it's very good that you're reading. It's very good that you're extracting the information. And it's very good that you have decided to take a piece of that information. We now need to teach it because that's how we master something. All right. So first you learn, then you teach it. That will help embed it. The READ framework will change everything for you in the next 6 months. You will know more than most advisors in your space. If you read a book every 2 weeks, you'll phenomenally change the rate of your inputs and the quality of those inputs, which means I can guarantee you the information that you share with your clients and with your team and your peers is going to be of a much higher level, and you're going to be way more knowledgeable. You're going to be able to apply way more than any marketers or other accountants and bookkeepers out there ever do. You're going to be able to build your intellectual property, you're going to be able to create systems, and you're going to have stories that compound and compound and compound. You are going to position yourself as a premium advisor. So, here are a few tips to make your learning go from good to great. First of all, don't listen to business podcasts while you're walking the dog and scrolling your email. That is you not taking stuff in. You're going to get distracted, your mind's going to wander, and you're going to miss the gold that comes in the next few sentences. Give your learning your full attention because depth does require focus. Secondly, curate your inputs. So I want you to unfollow any noise. If there is stuff out there that is just noise, get rid of it. Just follow 5 to 10 thinkers who challenge your thinking and stay with them. Let your brain go deep, not wide. So if you find a podcast that you like and you like the way that that person talks and what they're saying and their view on the world, go deep on it and learn and learn and learn from that person. Not for a week, not for 2 weeks, but for a long time so you really understand, because whoever you choose to follow and whoever you decide is your person, or the few people that are your people, they have a certain way of looking at the world. And I have a big opinion of have one mentor. So if you're following lots of different people, they're going to have lots of different opinions and views on the world. And if you do that all at the same time, you're going to get confused. So if you follow 1, 2, 3 people, you can follow 5, 10 people if you want, but you need to make sure that you stay with them and not just flit around from person to person. Go deep, not wide, okay? And then reread the really good books. So you're going to have books that actually will blow your mind and they can change your world. So reread them, highlight, reflect, connect with it, apply those ideas to client situations. That's how your learning becomes really valuable. Now, another thing that you have to do is shift your identity, because at the moment you're a doer and we need to start seeing yourself as a strategic thinker, not just a technician, not just a doer, but someone who solves big problems by thinking differently. You solve big problems by thinking differently, by putting different stuff into your brain. So now that we've covered learning, I want to move on to the S of the also method, which is sharing what you have learned. This is the magic. So learning alone just won't grow your business. It will make you feel good, but it won't grow your business. So learning and sharing, that's what makes you magnetic and will bring those premium clients towards you. Now, people don't trust the loudest person in the room. They trust the clearest person. Clarity comes from learning and authority comes from sharing. And this is how you build trust. So your content formula looks like this. Every day, write down your insight from a book, a client call, an objection that someone has and is unable to work with you. So if they have a pricing objection, you need to actually learn how to overcome that. And also a win. This information becomes your knowledge, it becomes your learnings. That's your content. What happens is you start to synthesize, and that becomes your unique voice. And this is what becomes your difference. And what do you do with all this knowledge? Well, you post it online, or you say it in a sales call, or you email it to your list. Sharing doesn't need to be big, but it does need to be consistent. So you need to be sharing every single day. And the best way to share what you learn is in a conversation. And a really great way to say something is like, I read something yesterday that made me think of you. Now what happens is you're teaching your knowledge without pitching people. When you learn deeply and share consistently, people will start coming to you. It happened to me. Like when I was starting my business, I had all of these opportunities come out of the woodwork because I was showing up and sharing everything that I was learning. And what happens is you don't have to chase for premium clients. You don't have to chase for opportunities. They are already listening to you. And you become the person that they want to work with. Not because you advertise, not because you sent a message going, hey, buy my stuff, but because you're always one insight ahead. People are looking for leaders, and you become a leader. And you don't build your audience with these fancy funnels or Facebook advertising, but with consistent ideas shared clearly and confidently. So I have a challenge for you. Pause what I'm talking about today and write down 3 things that you've learned this week. Now pick one and share it. That one share, if you actually did this and you went out and shared it, could start a conversation. It could start a conversation with someone. They could reach out to you and go, I really liked what you put on LinkedIn. And that conversation could lead to a 20, 30, 40, 50K client. And this is why it's so important. And as I said, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be the one who's thinking clearly and sharing knowledge generously. And that's the power of the Also framework. So Also is audience, build your audience. L is learn something. S is share something. And O is open conversations with people. The future of advisory isn't about doing more. It's about thinking better and showing up with insight. We need smarter inputs, sharper outputs, and a much simpler business. And this is how we build the modern advisory firm. So if you have enjoyed this video today, please could you like, comment and share. Make sure you let me know what's the smartest thing that you've learned this year. And if somebody else would like to benefit from this, then why don't you share it with them too? Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the next video.